Hello everybody and welcome to the NetSuite Release 2020.1 Update Highlight and Summary, presented by Squire. My name is Caden and I will be running you through the latest updates to NetSuite. Before we get into the updates, a few comments about this presentation. NetSuite's 20.1 update includes over 100 enhancements and new features. Due to the unique needs of each business, we will not be diving deeply into any new feature. Rather, we will briefly touch on some of the more useful and widespread enhancements and features that you might want to be aware of. We've placed timestamps in the description below, so you can jump ahead to the sections you are most interested in. However, we recommend watching the majority of the presentation so you don't miss out on any important updates. Lastly, if you have any questions about anything mentioned in this video, contact your NetSuite experts here at Squire, and we'd be happy to help. Some notes about the update. These features and others will become available when your account is upgraded to 2020.1. NetSuite is currently rolling out release previews, which is a great way to see some of these updates before they are implemented fully. I'll hop over to NetSuite to show you how to access the preview, but first, as a note, it is important to remember that day one of the update tends to be buggy. Many of the problems you encounter are likely due to some of these bugs. However, if NetSuite is giving you specific error messages, please contact one of our NetSuite experts for help. Now let's get into the preview. So in your NetSuite account, to request your release preview, go to Setup, Company, and scroll down to Release Preview. On this page, you can click this button to request your release preview, and after some time, NetSuite will allow you to access this preview. After your release preview has been enabled, you can access the preview by going to one of your user roles and will show an RP right there. We'll start things off with some changes to administrative features in NetSuite. Release 20.1 includes some adjustments to employee roles. The full access role will be set to inactive and will be completely disabled as of release 2021.1. As another small update, NetSuite accounts are now protected against viruses and malware by automatically scanning all new and updated files in the file cabinet. No configuration or setup is required for this feature. Now some changes related to internationalization. First, NetSuite allows users with appropriate permission to modify their subsidiary hierarchy structure, such as to change the headquarters subsidiary or elevate a subsidiary in the hierarchy. Second, the automated intercompany management feature is no longer found on the Items/Transactions subtab on the Accounting Preferences page. Now, these preferences are located in the Intercompany Preferences option of the Preferences section under Accounting Setup. Last, due to the update, you may see internal tags and related record and transaction names in the user interface. For example, you may see pound record pound instead of just record. If you see these tags in the user interface, please let NetSuite customer service support know. Now let's look at what changes the new update makes in accounting in NetSuite. You can now use the standard transaction email template and build customized email templates. This feature also allows you to set custom templates as default for standard transactions with the new default email template preference. Fixed assets management has been enhanced to allow users to make changes to original terms and conditions of a lease. You can modify the lease term, interest rate, and lease payments by clicking the Modify Lease button or by going to the Lease Modification page under the Leases section of the fixed asset. Doing so will create a journal entry to adjust the lease liability and right of use asset accounts, as well as record an entry to reverse interest on lease payments after the modification date. Additionally, you can also add the Fixed Assets Management Diagnostics portlet to your home dashboard to see the health of your fixed assets management bundle. You can scan processes for pre-computing depreciation values, resetting asset values, and checking missing summaries. The portlet will also show you processes that require action and associated helpful information about each process. Suite Approvals has received the following two enhancements. First, you can now create approval rules for requisition records, defined either by using the total line amount or a specific approval chain to determine approval routing. Second, you can now specify or add approvers from a subsidiary that is different from the subsidiary of an approval rule. Banking has also received some updates with the latest release. NetSuite has upgraded their banking feature, allowing more easy connection with your bank to view balances and transactions. Administrators who have online banking set up with their financial institutions can monitor and manage cash flow via bank feeds. This feature requires the Bank Feeds Suite app, which uses a third-party data service to connect your NetSuite account to your bank. With this feature, you can connect to supported US and Canadian financial institutions, automatically import your transactions and account balances, which eliminates the need for manual import, and receive daily updated cash balances. After the Suite app has been properly connected and configured, and accounts have been properly mapped, you will be able to see bank data on the Match Bank Data page. Additionally, balances and account statuses can be viewed on the Account Reconciliation Summary portlet on the home dashboard. As an alternative to this bank feed feature, the new Financial Institution Connectivity API allows you to develop a SuiteScript plugin to automate the bank data import process. This process, while more complex, provides more options and customizability in the bank data import process. NetSuite has made a few improvements to how bank data is matched. You now have the option to review and exclude imported data from the matching process. This is helpful when a transaction is old or is a duplicate. There are also minor improvements, including the ability to resize column widths and reorder grid columns, as well as a few workflow and label improvements. NetSuite has one minor enhancement to employee management. For those using expense reports in NetSuite, you can now customize the expense report form to allow for expense account override. When the expense account is included on the form, you can choose what account to use for individual expense items on the expense report, and the category field will no longer be required. Now a minor change to item record management. In NetSuite 20.1, you will no longer be able to access run costing after you create a transaction entry. NetSuite administrators can still set the run costing frequency to every hour or based on a custom schedule. The new release also includes some exciting updates regarding vendors, purchasing, and receiving. In the new version, you can associate one or more vendor prepayments with a purchase order. There are two ways to do this. First, after the transaction is entered on the purchase order page, you can click the new Enter Prepayment button. Second, you can use the new Purchase Order drop-down list on the Vendor Prepayments page. To see an overview of the vendor prepayments, go to the Related Records subtab on the Purchase Orders page. As a note, this feature is optional. Using the new Auto Apply Vendor Prepayments accounting preference, you no longer need to manually apply vendor prepayments to bills. Rather, the system will apply the vendor prepayments in the background. Standalone prepayments with no associated purchase orders must be applied manually. To apply manually, clear the Auto Apply Vendor Prepayments box. Let's briefly highlight an enhancement to NetSuite's taxation functionality. The big update to SuiteTax is the new support for tax groups. Tax groups allow you to combine several tax codes together and use the combined rate as a default for a particular entity or nexus. Creating tax groups requires tax records permissions. Other enhancements include support for non-claimable reverse charge tax types, as well as additional country localization options. For those who use inventory management in NetSuite, Release 20.1 has a couple updates for you. New to NetSuite 20.1 is Supply Allocation Exceptions Management, which allows you to respond to supply shortages by reviewing all sources of supply and ordering allocations to ensure high-priority sales orders are completed on time. NetSuite will generate supply reallocation recommendations. These recommendations will take resources from multiple unallocated orders to minimize the effect on all orders. After you accept the recommendation, the system will execute the reallocations across the selected orders. If you don't like the generated recommendations, you can create new recommendations until you find a solution. The Reallocate Order Items column with a Reallocate link has been added to the Items subtab of the Sales Orders page. When a supply order is allocated demand, a link is shown in the Allocated Demand column. Clicking the link will take you to the Allocated Demand window. After choosing to reallocate an order item, you will be taken to the Reallocate Order Item window. In this window, you can generate recommendations, accept recommendations to reallocate resources, see targeted sales order number, see possible source order resources, view a system recommended list of orders, and view the available supplies and target and candidate orders after you allocate supplies. After you reallocate resources, the original order page will reopen with an updated expected ship date, empty days late and reallocated order item fields, and updated allocated supply and quantity fields. Additionally, Supply Chain Management in NetSuite 20.1 allows you to receive a quantity that is less than the quantity on the fulfillment of a transfer order. Now you can create multiple partial receipts against a specific transfer order fulfillment. To ship and receive against transfer orders when the system uses item cost as the transfer price, select the Use Item Cost as Transfer Cost box in the transfer orders form. To use this feature, multi-location inventory must be enabled. There are a few updates to commerce in NetSuite, but we won't be covering those in this presentation. If you are interested in these updates, please contact us and we'll be happy to run you through the updates. SuiteBuilder has been updated in the new release with one notable new feature. NetSuite allows two new custom record types, sales and purchase. You can use these transaction types to create custom transactions similar to invoices, cash sales, credit memos, vendor credits, bills, and more. If you have the custom transactions feature enabled, this may be a very useful feature. NetSuite has improved its workflow offerings with some updates to SuiteFlow. NetSuite 20.1 supports sublist actions on the expenses sublist on expense report records. Previously, only the item sublist could be supported. Another small change is the change to default behavior of context selection in workflows and actions. Previously, when a workflow was created or an action added, all contexts were selected by default. Now, all are selected by default except web store and web applications. This will not impact existing workflows. For those who utilize NetSuite's CSV Import feature, there are a couple new record types supported. NetSuite now supports CSV imports for 3 new record types. These are inbound shipment, item collection, and sales and purchase custom transactions. Now, a few updates in SuiteAnalytics. NetSuite has been updating SuiteAnalytics consistently since its release, and the feature is becoming increasingly useful for analyzing your data and providing quick and meaningful insights to users. If you're interested in using SuiteAnalytics, please let us know and we'd be happy to help. Here are a few updates to SuiteAnalytics in 2020. First, datasets and workbooks are now separated in SuiteAnalytics Workbook. This means that you can now use a single dataset to support and inform multiple workbooks, saving you time and keeping your data consistent. The second new feature is the ability to create data tables in SuiteAnalytics Workbook. This will allow you to explore datasets without altering the source data of an associated workbook. Now we'll go through some notable SuiteApp updates. For clients who are engaged in manufacturing activities, NetSuite 2020.1 has some enhancement to related SuiteApps. Manufacturing Mobile allows you to use mobile scanners to report manufacturing shop floor data. The solution complements the existing Advanced Manufacturing Scanner, but does not require that you purchase an Advanced Manufacturing license. The Manufacturing Mobile Suite app enables shop floor operators to use components to produce assembly items. Production managers can review data entered and control data updates in NetSuite. The app will allow workers to distinguish between initiating work on a new work order or resuming work previously uncompleted. Work centers, bins, and locations must be enabled to use this Suite app. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there are too many new features to talk about. If you come across something in your update that you have questions about or interest in, please let us know. There are many updates that we did not cover in this presentation across many areas of NetSuite. Areas we didn't cover or that have many unmentioned updates include Advanced Revenue Management, Employee Management, Suite Tax, Order Management, Projects, User Interface, Supply Chain Control Tower, and SuiteScript. And that brings us to the end of our release summary. I hope you found this helpful. If you have questions about anything I talked about today, or anything I didn't, please feel free to contact us by emailing netsuite@squire.com. If you would like to read these release notes from NetSuite, you can find them in the Release 20.1 window of your account, or by clicking the link in the description below. If you are interested in expert NetSuite implementation or support, visit Squire.com to learn more. From Squire, we wish you the best, and thanks for watching.